Today we're talking about fear. If you have been in an emotionally destructive relationship, you might be wondering why you feel just so much fear about losing your partner's affection. As humans, we have this deep desire to love and to be loved. But why does it feel so hard? So let's unpack the truth about where fear comes from. Before we dive in, I just want to remind you to hit like and subscribe so you can be notified every time I post a new video. I'm Coach Ketra. I'm a nationally certified recovery coach, and I help women find empowerment and healing through processing their trauma so they can become their own hero in their own life. I have survived emotional abuse, betrayal, and a divorce after a 17-year marriage. So I know what this process feels like. You don't have to do it alone. Let's dive into this together. So my first point, what are you feeling when your spouse is critical or ignores you? What happens inside you when your partner says something like, "Did anybody ask you?" Or they say, "You just think you know it all," or "You're too sensitive." That's a popular one. Or they simply ignore you, like you don't exist at all. You say something and they don't even react and totally stonewall you. In these moments, you want to ask yourself, what are you feeling? Because there's an emotion that comes up, even when your spouse does something more with body language than with words. You know when they look at you sideways or their energy and tone changes. There's something that happens inside your body, and you want to pay attention to that. Ask yourself, where are you feeling this in your body? And go ahead and ask yourself, what are you afraid of? And keep asking that, because the first answer might not be spot on. You might say, "I'm afraid of his reaction." Okay, so what? What's going to happen if he reacts that way? Or you might say, "I'm afraid of being alone." Okay, what's going to happen if you're alone? "I'm afraid I'll never be loved." Keep peeling back the layers and asking yourself, what are you afraid of? It seems obvious that we are just so afraid to lose the love and affection of the person who is supposed to love us for our entire lives. And oftentimes we're afraid of their reaction and what that's going to do in us, so we end up walking on eggshells. It's important to get real with yourself. Are you afraid to do life alone? Knowing what you're afraid of is the start of the process. And it could be several things. So it's okay that it's more than one, even in a single moment. You might have lots of fears bubbling up. So my second point today is, why are we afraid? We might be able to identify the fear or name it, but you probably want to know, why do I feel that way? Where is that coming from? The core of the fear of abandonment really comes from our childhood, and it's really just how humanity is wired for survival. We are completely helpless as babies. Humans are not born walking the same day like a horse. We are 100% dependent on our caregiver. And because of that, the fear of losing that attachment bond to our caregiver is very real. If a baby is ignored and its needs are not met, it could mean actual, literal death. So this is a really big deal. But we also continue to need our attachment bonds to the adults in our life as we grow up, not just when we're babies. We need this attachment because it provides safety. Just like a herd has safety in numbers, and the gazelles, they don't just wander off by themselves, they stay connected to a group. Well, humans connect safety in the same way. We need bonds to the people around us so that we feel safe. Now, what if you or your partner grew up in a home where your emotional needs were not being met? Or maybe you or your spouse were never allowed the freedom to be yourself and emotionally express yourself freely, openly, in a safe space. When that happens, a couple things go on, but your brain can go into a fight or flight panic. There's other things, fight, flight, freeze, or fawn, but to keep it simple, it may have gone into this fight or flight and it may never have gone out of it. Especially for men who tend to have a little more issues with shutting down emotionally, so they numb out, so they don't have to feel the pain of rejection or neglect from their primary caregivers or their family. Childhood trauma that includes neglect can actually rewire someone's brain to function in a way that it wasn't meant to function. The fight or flight response is meant to be temporary when an animal has to run fast away from someone that's a predator, and then it calms back down, it relaxes, and it goes on with life in the herd. But when that fear doesn't ever subside, or there isn't a safe emotional space, it can go on and become a way of life that actually changes the way your brain works. Someone who's emotionally destructive can have major entitlement issues. They do these destructive things in an attempt to get what they want, what they need, what they didn't get in childhood, and to ensure that they won't be abandoned in the process. And as weird as it is, they're self-sabotaging what they deeply want out of a pattern of fear that has kept them from being able to reach that level of attachment in their childhood. But when you feel fear, there are similar reasons why this fear crops up and why you feel like you are just terrified of being alone or rejected. Maybe you replay messages in your head, unknowingly even, that tell you that you are not enough, or you are not lovable if you don't behave in a certain way. This is all programming. It comes from our childhood, from the way we interpreted the world around us, and this is constantly playing in our subconscious mind if we don't change the wiring. You may not have turned your trauma into a reason to treat other people like crap, but you may have formed core beliefs about who you are and what you deserve based on your childhood experiences, even if you had a good childhood. As weird as that sounds, there are things that get stuck in our subconscious mind that we believe, and the person that put them there or said them to us never intended for us to interpret them the way that we did. So that brings me to my third point. What can you do about it? You must be able to change your subconscious thinking and your core beliefs about who you are. This kind of mental freedom allows you to step into your power and finally implement boundaries, which means choosing yourself and taking care of your needs without feeling like you're obligated to other people above yourself. You must choose you. That's where it's helpful to have a strategic plan and help with the process. We all have to deal with our traumas, our insecurities, our core beliefs, and our self-worth before we can really step into the life that we want or get our life back. This isn't something you can usually do alone because it becomes an internal battle against who you were versus who you want to be. And you battle it out inside your head with no one on the outside to help you get clarity and redirect your thought life toward the healing that you want. Your brain really needs to take strategic steps in order to rewire your thought life. So if you're finally really ready to take charge of your life and get some relief from this pain, this inner struggle, then please check out my coaching link in the description below. I have designed 2 very specific programs just for this. My Jumpstart program is a 4-week program just to get you going toward your goal of inner and personal freedom. It allows you to do the work about your core beliefs and really break those apart and get to the root of what's going on. But if you want a full-blown transformation with help from my entire team, then my other program called Audacity is what you're looking for. Audacity is an 8-week intensive program that gives you full access to all the trainings, all the teaching, one-on-one specific customized coaching with me, somatic therapy coaching, and access to the entire team. Those who take Jumpstart and decide to move on to Audacity also get credit toward that second program for having taken the Jumpstart program, just so you know. I have also placed a link for the waitlist for Audacity in the description, because if you are on the waitlist, which does not obligate you to join the program, you will be notified about my New Year's special, which is very rare. I don't do specials on this program, but I'm doing it because 2020 has been a hell of a year and people need this more than ever. So click that link and sign up for the waitlist so you can be notified when I make that announcement and have a very limited time offer on the special for that program. Today, I hope you choose you. Please hit like, subscribe, and comment. Let me know what you thought of the video, or if there's another topic that you would like me to cover in the future. And until next time, curate a life by your own design.